Good morning. Good morning, students. So, in the last class, we discussed about the definition of signal system, classification of signals, classification of systems, and then operations of on signals like time shifting, time scaling, amplitude shifting, amplitude scaling, etc. Okay. Today, we are going to discuss about the remaining topics. So, these are all the classification of signals. Okay. Time scaling, combined time scaling and time shifting, amplitude scaling, amplitude shifting, combined amplitude scaling and amplitude shifting, and symmetry and addition, multiplication, and decomposition of signals into even and odd parts. Okay, so the signal can be converted into even and odd parts. So even part is xe of t and odd part is xo of t. Okay, we are writing the combination of the signal as a xe of t plus xo of t. Okay, so xe of t can be further represented as xe of t equal to half of x of t plus x of minus t, and xo of t equal to half of x of t minus x of minus t. Like this, we can write the given signal as a combination of even and odd parts. Okay. Next, already some of periodic functions also we discussed in the last class. Okay, let x1 and x2 be the periodic functions of the fundamental period t1 and t2. Then the sum y equal to x1 plus x2 is also a periodic function. Okay, so after that we discussed about the right-sided signals. Right-sided signal means it is defined as x of t equal to 0 for all t less than t naught. So below t naught, that means that minus infinity to 0, its value is 0. From t naught onwards, its value is some value, some finite value. Okay, so up to t naught, its value is 0. That is called right-sided signal. Right-sided signal. So that is mathematically expressed as x of t is equal to 0 for all t is less than t naught. Okay, this is called right-sided signal. In the same manner, left-sided signal is also defined as it is 0 for t is greater than 0. From here onwards, from t naught, beyond t naught, its value is 0. Beyond t naught, its value is 0. That is called left-sided signal. Okay, so finite duration and two-sided signals. So this is combination of both right-handed and left-handed signals. Okay, a signal that is both left-sided and right-sided is said to be finite duration or time limited. An example of a finite duration signal is shown like this. See, it is varying from t naught to T0 to T1. X of t is varying from T0 to T1. Up to T0, it is a right-sided signal. After T1, it is left-sided signal. So the combination of these two is two-sided signal. A signal that is neither left-sided nor right-sided is said to be two-sided. An example for two-sided signal is shown like this. Next, bounded signals. Bounded means some particular limit, finite limit. A signal x is said to be bounded if there exists some finite positive real constant a, such that x of t mod x of t must be less than or equal to a for all values of t. That is, x of t is finite for all t. X of t is finite for all values of t. So it is represented like this: mod x of t is less than or equal to capital A for all values of t. So examples of bounded signals include the sine and cosine functions. These two are sine and cosine functions are bounded signals. Okay. Next, examples of unbounded signals include the tan function and any non-constant polynomial functions. Unbounded signals means tan functions. Bounded signals means sine and cosine functions. Okay, unbounded signals are tan functions, and the bounded signals are sine and cosine functions. Next, coming to the power and energy signals. Power signal and energy signal, both are related. See, if you take the power signal, it is having infinite duration. It is having infinite duration. If you take the energy signal, it is having finite duration. Both are energy signals only, but power signal is more powerful than the energy signal. Why? Because power signal is having infinite duration, whereas energy signal is having finite duration. Okay, next, in power signal, normalized power is finite and non-zero, whereas normalized energy is finite and non-zero. And in power signals, normalized energy averaged over infinite time is infinite. Normalized power averaged over infinite time is zero. So mathematically, power signals are tractable, and these are physically realizable. Energy signals are physically realizable. Lot of energy will be there in power signals when compared with the energy signals. Okay, these are having infinite duration and these are having finite duration. See here the normalized power is finite and non-zero. Here also normalized energy is finite and non-zero. Normalized energy is averaged over infinite time is infinite. Normalized power averaged over infinite time is zero. Okay, these are tractable mathematically and these are physically realizable. Next, we'll see the energy signal and power signal. The expressions for energy signal E contained the signal X is given by E equal to integral minus infinity to infinity mod x of t whole square dt. This is the expression for energy signal. This is the expression for energy signal. Okay, a signal with finite energy is said to be an energy signal. Finite energy is said to be an energy signal, and here signal energy and power. The energy E contained the in the signal x is given by E equal to integral minus infinity to infinity mod of x of t whole square into dt. Okay, a signal with finite energy is said to be an energy signal. With finite energy, it must be less than infinity. So integral minus infinity to infinity mod of x of t whole square dt must be less than infinity. It means that it is some finite value. The average power P contained in the signal X is given by P equal to limit t tends to infinity 1 by t into integral minus t by 2 to plus t by 2 mod x of t whole square dt. These two are related like this. Energy and power signals are related as power equal to limit t tends to infinity 1 by t into integral minus t by 2 to plus t by 2 mod x of t whole square into dt. A signal with non-zero finite average power is said to be a power signal. A finite energy, finite average power. A signal with finite average power. Finite average power. Finite means it is less than some infinite value. So a signal with a finite average power is said to be power signal. Next, coming to the elementary signals. See, elementary signals. Elementary signals are real sinusoids. Real sinusoids, complex exponentials, unit step function, signal function, rectangular function, triangular. These are all called elementary signals. Okay. So let us explain one by one. Okay. Next, elementary signals. So real sinusoids. Elementary signals. First one is real sinusoid. The real sinusoid is a function of the form. Its mathematical form is x of t equal to a cos omega t plus theta, where omega is angular frequency, theta is angle, a is the amplitude. Okay, a cos omega t plus theta. These three are called real constants. Such a function is periodic with fundamental period t equal to 2 pi by omega, 2 pi by omega, and the fundamental frequency is mod omega. Okay, a real sinusoid has a plot resembling that shown below, as it is a sinusoidal signal a cos omega t plus theta. It is a real sinusoid. Next, complex exponentials. Complex exponential. Complex exponential is a mathematical form. The mathematical form of the complex exponential is like a into e power lambda t, or a into e power xt, like that. A into e power lambda t. Okay, so a into e power lambda t, where a and lambda are complex constants. A complex exponential can exhibit one of a number of distinct modes of behavior depending on the values of its parameters a and lambda. One of the number of distinct modes of behavior. It depends upon the values of a and lambda. Okay, so it exhibits a number of distinct modes of behavior. For example, as special cases, complex exponentials include real exponentials and complex sinusoids. sinusoids. It includes real exponentials and complex sinusoids. Next, this is about the sinusoids, real sinusoids and complex exponential. Next one is unit step function. Unit step function. How it is looking like? It is looking like a step, but its value is unity. So that's why it is unit step function. How it is defined mathematically? U of t is equal to 1 if t is greater than or equal to 0, and it is equal to 0 otherwise. So at t equal to t is greater, from t is greater than or equal to 0, its value is 1. Okay, okay, right. So like this unit step function is defined. Coming to the unit step function. So unit step function is also known as a Heaviside function, denoted u is defined as u of t equal to 1 if t is greater than or equal to 0 and is 0 otherwise. So due to the manner in which u is used in practice, the actual value of u of 0 is unimportant. Sometimes value of 0 and 1 by 2 are also used for u of 0. The plot is like this. U of t is equal to 1 for t is greater than or equal to 0, otherwise it is 0. Okay. Next, coming to the signum function. Signum function is uh, mathematically expressed like this. So signum of t is equal to minus 1 if t is less than 0, if it is 0 at t equal to 0, if it is 1 if t is greater than 0. So up to here it is minus 1. At here at t equal to 0 its value is 0, and at here its value is 1. So from its definition, one can see that the signum function simply computes the sign of a number. So a plot is represented like this. A plot is represented like this, the signum function. So up to here, it is minus 1 for t is less than 0. It is 0 at t equal to 0, and it is t is 1 at t is greater than 0. Okay, right? Okay, this is a signum function. Next, rectangular function. So the rectangular function is called as unit rectangular pulse function, denoted as rect, which is given by rect of t is equal to 1 if minus 1 is less than t is less than plus 1 by 2 and is 0 otherwise. So it is represented like this: minus 1 by 2, in between minus 1 by 2 and 1 by 2 its value is 1, otherwise it is 0. This is rectangular function. Next, triangular function. The triangular function is also called unit triangular pulse function, denoted as TRI. Tri is denoted as tri of t is equal to 1 minus 2 into mod t, where mod t is less than or equal to 1 by 2, or it is 0 otherwise. So it is plot is like this. And the unit impulse function. As impulse function, how the impulse function is defined? Impulse function only exists at t equal to 0. Delta t is 1 at t equal to 0. Okay, okay. So it is also known as Dirac delta function or delta function, denoted as delta, which is defined by the following two properties: delta of t equal to 0 for t equal to 0, and integral minus infinity to minus infinity 0 delta of t dt equal to 1. Technically, delta is not a function in the ordinary sense. Rather, it is what is known as a generalized function. Consequently, the delta function sometimes behaves in unusual ways. Okay, graphically it is denoted, it is represented like this. So it is shifted. It is shifted towards right side by t naught units. Okay. So this is the comparison between unit step function, unit impulse function, and unit ramp functions. This is the comparison. Unit step function, how it is defined: unit step function for continuous time signal, and this is unit step function for discrete time signals. Unit impulse function for continuous time signals, unit impulse function for discrete time signals, right? So see, if we take the unit step function for continuous time signal is defined as u of t equal to 1 for t is greater than 0, or is 0 for t is less than 0. In the same manner, u of n equal to 1 for n is greater than or equal to 0, and is 0 for n is less than 0. Okay, this is the definition of unit step function. Next, coming to the unit impulse function. Unit impulse function. Unit impulse function is it is defined like this: delta of t is equal to 0 at t is not equal to 0, integral minus infinity infinity, delta of t dt equal to integral minus 0 minus to 0 plus delta of t dt equal to 1 for continuous time signal. For discrete time signal, delta of n equal to 1 at n equal to 0 and is 0 at n is not equal to 0. Next, unit ramp function. Unit ramp function is defined as r of t equal to t for t is greater than or equal to 0 and is 0 for t is less than 0. Or u of t and r of t are related as r of t equal to t into u of t and u of t equal to d by dt of r of t, or d by dt of r of t value is t, so d by dt of t, that is 1. Okay, so r of n equal to n for n is greater than or equal to 0 and is 0 for n is less than 0. Okay, next coming to the, so this is so far we discussed about all these systems and its properties, okay, its functions, mm, etc. Now coming to the systems. Systems. A system is an entity that processes one or more input signals in order to produce one or more output signals. So we have n number of input signals. For that n number of input signals, we have n number of output signals. Okay, so it's an entity. It's an entity that processes one or more input signals in order to produce one or more output signals. So it is represented by diagrammatically. It is represented like this: diagrammatical representation of the system. So here the inputs are varying from x1, x0 to x0, x1, x2 up to xm. So for these inputs, we will get the output signals as y0, y1, y2 up to yn. Okay, so it's an entity consisting of one or more input signals in order to produce one or more output signals. Next, coming to the classification of systems. Classification of systems means number of inputs. How many? Based on the number of inputs. A system with one input is said to be single input. A system with more than one input is said to be multiple input. MI. SI. Single input is SI. Based on the number of outputs. A system with one output is said to be single output, that is SO. A system with more than one output is said to be multiple output. Okay, that is MO. Okay, okay, right. Okay, based on the types of signals processed. Based on the types of signals processed, a system can be classified in terms of types of signals that is processed. Consequently, terms such as following, which describe signals, can also be used to describe systems. These are types of signals, means one-dimensional signal, multi-dimensional signal, continuous time signal, discrete time signal, and analog and digital signals. Okay. For example, a continuous time system processes CT signals and a discrete time system processes DTC signals. Continuous time is CT, discrete time is DT. Okay. Next, coming to the types of systems. How many types of the systems are there? Okay. So here the systems are classified like this. Okay. Coming to the types of systems: causal and non-causal system, linear and non-linear system, time variant and time invariant system, stable and unstable system, static and dynamic system. This is the types of the systems. First of all, coming to the causal system. What is meant by causal system? It depends upon the present and past values. Okay, it depends. The causal system is said to be causal if the present value of the output signal depends only on the present and or past values of the input signals. For example, y of n is represented as x of n plus half of x of n minus 1. X of n is a present system, present value of the input system, and x of n minus 1 is the past value of the input system. So that is called causal system. It depends upon the present and past values of the input signals. The output of the system is depends upon the present and past values of the output system, input system, right? This is causal system. Non-causal system. Non-causal system means a system is said to be anti-causal if the present value of the output signal depends only on the future values of the input signal. Feature values of the input signal. Feature value is x of n plus 1. The present value of the output signal depends only on the feature values of the input signal. So y of n is x of n plus 1 plus half of x of n minus 1. This is a non-causal system. Next, coming to the linear and non-linear systems. What is meant by linear system? A system is said to be linear if it satisfies the principle of superposition theorem and homogeneity. For checking the linearity of the given system, firstly we check the response due to linear combination of inputs. Then we combine the two outputs linearly in the same manner as the inputs are combined again. Total response is checked. So the system is said to be linear if it satisfies the principle of superposition and homogeneity property. Next, time variant and time invariant system. So a system is said to be time invariant if a time delay or time advance of the input signal leads to a identical time shift in the output signal. Time invariant. Time invariant means it does not depend upon the time. So yi of t is equal to h of x of t minus t naught. Here the time will be shifted, but here it is the original time. So it does not depend upon the actual time. So linear time invariant systems, special importance for their mathematical tractability. Most signal processing applications involve linear time invariant systems only. Linear time invariant system can be completely characterized by their impulse response. That is y of n equal to transformation of x of n, that is transformation of sigma k equal to minus infinity infinity x of k into delta of n minus k, that is linearity property, and sigma k equal to minus infinity infinity x of k into t of delta of n minus k is equal to sigma k equal to minus infinity infinity x of k into hk of n. This is time invariant property. Next, stable and unstable systems. A system is said to be bounded input, bounded output stable, BIBO stable. This is also called as BIBO stable if every bounded input result in a bounded output. Bounded in for all values of t, mod x of t is less than or equal to mx must be less than infinity tends to, for all values of t, mod y of t is less than or equal to my is less than infinity. Okay, this is the bounded input bounded output relation. Bounded output, a system is said to be bounded input bounded output stable if every bounded input results in a bounded output. For example, a system is represented by y of t equal to a into x of t is unstable if a is greater than 1. Reason? Let us assume x of t equal to u of t. Then at every instant u of t will keep on multiplying with a, and hence it will not be bounded. Okay, next coming to the static systems. Static systems means these are all memoryless systems. So whatever they take the input, they will give output. It doesn't have any memory. It has no storage devices. Its output signal depends on present values of the input signal. For example, I of t equal to 1 by r into v of t. Next, coming to the dynamic system. These are memory systems. A dynamic system possesses memory. It has the storage devices. So for storing the, it has some memory. That's why it is capable of storing the information. A system is said to be possess memory if its output signal depends on past values and future values of the input signal. That is I of t equal to 1 by L integral minus infinity to t v of to deta. Next, memoryless system. A system is memoryless if the output y of n at every value of n depends only on the input x of n at some value of n. Okay, for example, if you take square, so y of n equal to x of n whole square. Sine y of n equal to sine of x of n, like that. Next, discrete time signal. Discrete time sequence is a mathematical operation that maps a given input sequence x of n into an output sequence y of n. So we will get y of n by taking the transformation of x of n. Transformation of x of n is nothing but y of n. Example, discrete time system, moving running average, that is y of n equal to x of n plus x of n minus 1 plus x of n minus 2 plus x of n minus 3. Okay. Next, coming to the system properties. System properties. System properties are like this: notation, stability. These are all the system properties. So today I am concluding the today's class. So in the next class we will discuss about the system properties. Okay. Today we discussed about the system types of the systems. Okay. Uh, Properties of systems, etc. Okay. In the next class we will going to discuss about the system properties. Thank you.